I now would like to invite Mr. Nadav Tamir, political advisor to President Shimon Peres, to bring words of greetings. Nadav knew Avi personally while he was in service as Consul General of the State of Israel in the Boston area. Nadav, bevakasha.
I'm humbled by the invitation from Ilan and from Emily and from the amazing Schaefer family to speak here. As you heard, I got to know Avi when I was Consul General to New England. I had some important universities in the area that I was covering, but Brown was definitely one of the most important ones. I had 3 Ivy League universities. I knew Harvard. Dartmouth was not very political, but Brown was a big challenge to the students there, so I used to go there frequently to meet the students. And then I met Avi. Avi was quiet. He was listening to the conversation, kept low profile, but pretty early on I learned that he was quiet, but he was very active. And I was following the way he acted in campus, trying to shape the conversation about Israel. And I was amazed because I've seen someone who intuitively had the insights that it took me all my professional life to develop, trying to fight the old paradigms of Hasbara for me, but for Avi it was quite clear that if you really want to influence people, it's not about winning the debate, it's about winning their hearts and minds. And that winning hearts and minds is not by explaining them, by להסביר להם, it's by dialogue with them. And he also understood that this whole conflict that was very much a big topic on campus was not a zero-sum, that you could be someone who made Aliyah and went to Israel to be a soldier, but on the same time, you could have Palestinian friends and you could try to create connections with them. And it was such a refreshing attitude towards this whole issue of advocacy, or whatever you want to call it, that was a model that I used to bring whenever in every campus that I used to go. And it had an impact, an amazing impact on Brown, on the atmosphere on campus. And we're trying to, to work with Avi and with some of his friends, that some of them I see here on campus. And then I got the devastating call about the accident. But when I see this full house and I see this amazing energy and so many people who came here in this miserable day, I'm happy to see that Avi's legacy is live and kicking. And I got to know Yoav since then, and the amazing parents. And then I understood why Avi had it right so intuitively, because that's the way he was brought up, in this amazing family, where people understood that you could be a Zionist, but you could, what was mentioned before, this balance between the particular and the universal. You don't have to make that choice. You could be at the same time someone who cares about the world, about human rights, and understand that there's no conflict between being assertive and showing empathy, that actually empathy and assertiveness goes very nicely hand in hand. And you could tell the Israeli story in a very effective way by being empathetic to other stories. So I became a big admirer of Avi, and now of the project of the Avi Fund, and I want to thank all of you for being part of it. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, because I was also invited as an advisor to our president. Einat was an advisor to the president in the past, and she knows, and many people know, that it's very hard to be an advisor for someone who doesn't need any advice, who did everything. It was prime minister, foreign minister, defense minister, finance minister, you name it. So I will just mention maybe that he has some strong views about the issues that you're about to talk about. He too believed that it's time for refreshing the concept of Zionism. He believes that it's true that Zionism was very much about survival, but it's time to have something that goes beyond survival. And I want to thank Tal Becker, who helped me think about beyond survival in his amazing op-ed, and you will hear from him later. And it's time that, you know, they call us the startup nation because of all the startups that we produce, and we have so many startups per capita and all of that. But let's remember that Israel is a startup nation also because Israel itself was an idea. And it was supported by the Jewish diaspora, who was the VCs of this startup. And now it's time for this startup who became a success story, a member of the OECD, and you know, and a very strong superpower in the Middle East, to give back for this investment. And what we could give back is to do what the Jewish people did for many years, which is to send a fresh message to the world, a vision about values that is beyond survival. And Jewish continuity, of course, is very important to all of us. But if we're talking, you know, in a universal, global perspective, there is supposed to be a reason for Jewish continuity. And this reason is, what can we bring to the world? How can we make the world a better place? And President Peres believes that actually there is a few things that we could do to help the world being a better place. I like to call it, and it was mentioned also by Sharansky and others, I think the umbrella concept is definitely Tikkun Olam, but for our president, Tikkun Olam has two legs. One of them is our ability to be so innovative with science and with technology. But the other is, what's the direction? What do you do with all those innovations? And also to produce ideas and values that will make Jews around the world proud to be Jewish, to be connected with Israel. And it's about a partnership. The one-way street where the connection is about sending checks and that it's built on guilt and fear is not relevant to the young generations anymore. And we need a fresh vision, and I'm sure that you will hear about the president's vision very soon because he's going to talk about this a lot. So I just want to thank you for coming here and for thinking about Zionism and for keeping the legacy of Avi and his amazing family. Thank you for letting me be part of it.